What is up, guys? It's Verns back here again with another Supercoach video. This time it is the NBL round 19 review. So we're finally up to that last round of NBL, so close to the finish line, and look, unfortunately things didn't quite work out of our trades from last week. Didn't get the right captaincy this week, and honestly I thought there was a good chance I would be seeing a red arrow, so to see a green arrow this week, even though it's one position, we've gone up to rank 21 for the overall. We put out a 459 this week, and look, I'm not too disappointed with that. So, yeah, got to look at the positives. We went up in a situation where I really didn't think we were going to. Now, look, before we jump on into it, I will just put it out there for those that do like and subscribe. I very much appreciate that for your consistent injections of Supercoach content going straight into your YouTube feed. But look, we will jump into the team in a minute. This week, I'll be honest, I took a bit of a step back from Supercoach. Well, specifically last week, I went away to Philly. That's just Phillip Island for those locals who know. We just went down there with the family, cousins and all that, and we always go down, chill. Honestly, we play a bunch of video games, go to the beach a few times, and yeah, it was a really nice week just to sort of step back, not actually listen to like any Supercoach, and just chill. And I honestly really needed that. I really just needed that bit of a step back. Obviously, we usually have this off season in the AFL, but we didn't really have that because I jumped onto the NBL, and it's a perfect, yin and yang. AFL finishes, NBL starts. It's very nice, that Supercoach craving, but it was nice to sort of just take a step back for a week and just be like, not worry about it at all, not listen to anything, just forget about it. Which might sound funny because I absolutely adore this game. I absolutely love it. Can never get enough of it. But it was just, I think, good to get a bit of a step back. And then when I started listening to the content again this week, it was rejuvenating. So, yeah, that was really nice. I mean, just don't forget that sometimes. Sometimes just you need to take a step back from the game, make your trades at the start of the week. I guess always double check people aren't injured, but then just take a bit of a step back outside of that and chill out. And it's very nice. Look, our boy Fantasy Phoenix Chad, he probably realized as I gave him a like on Sunday, so today I was listening to his video today, so I was very, very behind with the content for watching that, and a bit behind in the games as well that I watched, but I managed to get through most of them. Some of them weren't too relevant, so I didn't end up watching them, but yeah, definitely watched most of them, and still an enjoyable week of NBL. And as I said, one more week to go. For those that made it to their league finals, congratulations. You are probably the guys that are here if you're not top of the rank, pushing for, top 100, top 1,000, whatever your goals were. But we'll jump into the team. And we're back. Sorry, just had to do a little chop and change there because I realized I'd made some changes and I hadn't reversed them. I do this every week, I swear. But look, just quick shout out to the ladies' man, Corey Blackledge. Played him in my Verns YouTube league and did manage to get the candy at the end of the day. Get the chocolates, that's the saying. Goodness me, that was bad. I managed to get the chocolates, so unfortunate for him, but fortunate for me, and it was a good game, close round between us, and definitely a great season from him. So look, I've managed to make it the finals in all of my leagues, so I'm looking forward to playing those, and to anyone that's in those finals against me, best of luck to you. See if my advice can help you top me, but look, I'm hoping to end with a bang this week. So this is how the team looked going in. Unfortunately, we did captain Clark, who was the lowest scoring on-field player. But I looked at it, I was talking to Corey in the week, and I'm like, in hindsight, there was nobody else I was ever going to captain. And obviously, hindsight's 27. We see the scores now, but Clark had been pretty consistent and pretty good so far. Cheathan, yes, he sort of got into his groove thing last week, but I wasn't comfortable putting the C on him. Froling had some real yin-yang the last few weeks, a lot of 15-point games or so, made him a bit scary to go towards. Parker Jackson Cartwright, with McDowell White being so much better, and his minutes sort of being cut into because of that, I was too scared to go there. It was not something I was considering because of that. And Harvey is in the same boat, just a bit of a yin-yang where sometimes he can come out and drop a 40, other times he can get around that 20 mark. And yeah, I just felt like there was more consistency in Clark. And obviously a lot of the top 1%ers felt that because I think 70% of us captained Clark. And then I think the other like 20% put it on PJC and 10% just went wild. So But yeah, look, a bit painful to give up 30 points just on the captaincy. I did check out the rankings, and something that we will just look at really quickly. Obviously, huge congrats to David, still holding rank 1, 150 points, put a 70-point buffer on Michael this week from the Cool Breeze. So he's basically wrapped it up. So huge congrats there, David, with a massive play putting the captaincy on PJC this week. Also a shout out to as Ball, obviously a content creator as well, and actually came second in the week that I won my weekly. So congrats for him to getting all the way to third. But what we're looking at is where can we get to 10th? Our total points right now, we are sitting at 7706. To get to 10th, preferably I'd like to get to 9th. That is obviously a difference of, I am cooking my brain, 55 points there. So 55 points we need to make up on 10th. It's a lot of points in 1 week. And I said 30 points would have been really handy to help, close that gap this week. But as I said, at the end of the day, I never considered that. I also want to check out the top scores of this week. Wow, yeah, I definitely didn't have a chance this week. But don't get me wrong, I knew I wasn't winning this week. But I thought, man, maybe if I had the right captaincy, a few other things went the right way, maybe we can push that 5-10 mark. I always consider those things. I'm sure we all do. You just sit there and you think about the plays you could have made. And something that was very painful this week is I talked about our trades backfiring from last week. Last week we got Jack McVeigh instead of Cheatham because obviously I explained the logic that the extra on-field player for that 1 week is technically, by the end of the season, an extra half a player that I would have had. With Lamb going down and us being forced into a position where we had to trade him, all of a sudden we're now missing. We only have 9 players on the double in the final week instead of 10. So if we did make the play last week, we actually wouldn't, obviously hindsight's 2020. Assuming nobody goes down getting injured, we're going to end up with half a game extra. Lamb ends up getting injured, meaning that it ends up being the same amount of games as that I would have had at the end of the day. So I've just lost points. I didn't really gain a net positive because of that. But then on top of it, all these points that I've lost. Obviously, Cheatham ended up being massive, gaining 30k. Lamb lost 30k. Meant that I couldn't move Crawford on to PJC. I had to move Kell instead. Crawford comes out with a 9 this week. Super painful. 4 fouls early and spends a lot of time on the bench. Kell comes out with, I think, a 31 it might have been actually. I believe it was 22 points the difference. Obviously on our bench, 11 points lost from our total score. Last week we only gained a net positive of 12 points. So in reality, that's 1 point the difference there. And obviously I wouldn't have been bringing in Jack McVeigh this week. So if we do count in that, hey, if I had Cheatham last week, Lamb goes down, I obviously don't trade him to Jack McVeigh. Probably a Roostervicious, maybe a Manga Mathieu, probably Roostervicious more or less. I think I would have gone in that direction. That's 5 more points than Jack McVeigh. Even if we round that to 4, we're going to half that, so it's going to end up being 2 extra points, I think. Really, at the end of the day, I just haven't made a net positive in points. I've already lost points, and I still have this week to go that I'm technically half a player down where I would have been from last week's trades. So yeah, I know a bit of rambling there, guys, but in hindsight, the play I made last week, I think was the correct play in the sense that it's I'm not going to catch the pack if I don't try and get a little bit of a leg up somewhere. But I guess the other backside of that, flip side to that is that, hey, if I did play it safe and I just pray somebody who is commonly owned gets injured, I'm going to end up with a huge advantage because I have 3 players to sort of move on, meaning I have sort of one luxury trade to a degree. So maybe I could have planned towards that. Hindsight's obviously a beautiful thing, but yeah, it's ended up being that last week's trades just were a net negative at the end of the day, and we lost points there in total. So that could be the difference between us getting to the top 10 or not. But what we're going to focus on right now is our trades coming into this week. Super important for obviously everyone's final week to try and push for that overall rank that you want. Or maybe if you're in league finals, just to up your mates or maybe win a cashie. 4 teams on the double. Perth, Melbourne, New Zealand, and Illawarra. Now, we probably have a ton of New Zealand and Illawarra players in your team already. Probably already got all those premiums. The problem with Perth and Melbourne is because of the results this week, their games are almost irrelevant. They're irrelevant to them, not the teams that they're playing against. Melbourne could go 0-2 and will still finish first. Cairns could go 2-0, 0-2. They're stuck in second. They can't catch Melbourne, but they can't lose their position to Tasmania. So Perth and Melbourne are 100% sealed into their positions. So they're not really playing for anything this week. So if they're not playing for anything, that does raise the question that, hey, are guys going to be rested? Are they going to run a lot more of their B team? Are they going to have reduced minutes? It's most likely yes. Like, why would you bother risking your superstars coming into playoffs, overworking them in a situation where the games don't matter to you? Like, just, you take your foot off the gas, doesn't matter to you, so you just chill out, rest up your players, and you make sure you're good to go in a few weeks' time. Now, we do have a FIBA break in between the end of the season and the playoffs, my understanding is, and then if you obviously finish in the top 2, you don't play the play-in tournament, so you also get an extra break there. So it is one of those things where that's the only bounce back that I could see. These teams are looking at it like, well, we don't want our players to not play this week, then the FIBA break, then the week off. We don't want them to miss 3 weeks of games, because then they might be a bit rusty for finals. It could be a possibility. So they might still try and get some minutes into them. Because of that, I think they will play, but probably with reduced minutes. So that is a big, big worry for bringing in anyone from Perth and Melbourne. So Bryce Cotton, look, I'm going to put him on my field at the end of the day. I think I have to. It is Bryce. But maybe I don't. Oh man, Illawarra have been so good at restricting Bryce. They've played him twice this year and I think kept him to under 25. What did they keep him to? 21 and 28. So not a huge restriction in the first game, but the second game restricted him very nicely. He did pop off quite well against Tasmania. Tasmania's game may not matter to them either, I think, depending on their situation. They may be locked into third. I'd need to go check out the standings. But they weren't really too Supercoach relevant, so I didn't really bother checking them out too much. Maybe Bryce goes off there. I don't think Bryce gets reduced minutes. I don't think he gets rested. I think he'll just end up with reduced minutes. It's very hard. I'm a bit scared to bring in a Pinder or a Doolittle. I do think a sneaky smoky could be Saar. And that might sound a bit weird saying that, but if they're going to rest or reduce Pinder's and Doolittle's minutes, you would think that increases Saar's minutes going into the last game of the season. I mean, the game that he just played, he just dropped 45 points. He was incredible. He was really good. But, I mean, he's a superstar. So assuming he gets extra minutes this week, he could definitely go very, very big. And we've seen it before where he has 40-point games very easily. So, I mean, Saar could be a smoky, in my opinion. Melbourne, who are we really looking at here? Maybe Huck Porty ends up with more time than JLA, but JLA scores a lot of points very quickly and very easily. This week I think he only played 20 minutes and he put down like 41. Like, he doesn't need many minutes on that court to put out a massive score. They have Delhi, they have Ian Clark, they have Travers, they have Illy. Illy was really good this week. Yeah, it's a question mark of who to grab from these teams because it could be very sporadic. I think Melbourne, the scariest thing with them is they do have very good bench depth. So they could give this Delhi, Travers, Illy, they could give those guys really minimal minutes, run their bench squad, which is good enough to compete with, honestly, most teams in the NBL, and potentially still pick up a win. So it is one of those things where I think Melbourne players are probably the scarier one to go to. I think Perth, I think Saar could be a good smoky. Usher, maybe. He's been in some good form as well. And then I think Cotton will still play big minutes because it's just the way Cotton's built. He's not built to sit on the bench. But obviously versus Illawarra, they're playing to win. So they're definitely going to be restricting Cotton in this game, which makes it very scary to be having Cotton potentially on field. I mean, that's the other thing to weigh up here. I think the big thing for our captaincies is we've got New Zealand and Illawarra who are both playing to win. They've got something on the line here. They can't afford to be losing these games. New Zealand in 6th, they need to come out and 2-0 this. Illawarra in 4th, they hopefully need to pick up at least one win, but they are playing 1st and 2nd, but maybe a 1st and 2nd that aren't putting their best foot forward. It's definitely a possibility. So there's just so many things to consider this week. And I know I've raised more questions than answered, but what I am going to be doing, we'll start it off by just getting Crawford out of here. And we're going to bring in someone who needs his team to win at the end of the day. And I think you guys are going to know who it is. But yes, it is McDowell White, being in insane form, shooting threes so well, looking really, really good on the floor, and put down a 58 this week. So anyone holding him would have felt very good. But his team needs to win, and he's got to keep playing good. So I think we're going to bring in McDowell White. Now, this is where the question comes, do I keep Humphrey? Do I keep McVay? I'm not a fan of honestly keeping McVay. I think Humphrey's shown that he has a bit of a more consistently high floor as well as a better ceiling. They're coming into New Zealand too. That actually been a bit better on the inside game with the return of Cheatham. But I don't think they're just going to go into this last week lying down. I do think Humphrey will come out to play. So yeah, I am going to go. Oh man, but I mean, Tas versus Perth. As I said, they're both not really playing for anything in this game though, so might be a bit of a bench game. Yeah, look, we're going to go McVay out. Oh, man. I had actually made this decision before I started the video, but then I start talking and I start convincing myself when I'm talking and through everything as well. What I'd recommend doing, guys, if you just click on these 4 teams here, and these are the 4 that you want to be looking at. And as I said, I don't think I want Pinder. Not a fan of Usher. I don't think Doolittle. Because they could be rested. Travis could be rested as well. He just got an 11 in a game that was pretty irrelevant where he was probably rested. I didn't look at the minutes he played, but it didn't feel like he was on the court much. He didn't score until the second half either. Saar could be the Smokey I talked about. But I think the other one... Oh, man, what was his ownership at when I just clicked on it? What was it at? It's at 3.5. I don't know how many people are bringing him in. This could be super risky, but I think I want to play for the upside of Lowell Jr. Honestly, as I said, he doesn't need many minutes to score. And I just think, even if he plays, let's say, 15 minutes, he can put out 20-plus points in 15 minutes. I guess the only problem there is I'm taking Froling off the field if I make that switch. And Froling did pretty well. I mean, he was pretty actually hot garbage until like the second half of the second game where he dropped up like 20, 25 points in that game and then somehow got a respectable score. But, I mean, Lowell Jr., if it comes out 15, 20 minutes, I mean, he's someone who... He was injured for a bit there, so he needs runs in the legs, you think. You think that Melbourne want to get runs into his legs. They don't want to just rest him for the next 3 weeks. You want to get runs into his legs. You want to run him probably 15, 20 minutes in both of these games just to make sure he's getting a feel for it before finals comes into play. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's a crazy thing to think. And this definitely could be, could be losing me my finals matchups, but what do I really have to lose? I'm not really going to, I don't really care too much for the leagues. The leagues are fun and things to focus on, but I've got a great overall rank, and I'd love to push to 10, and I'm not going to get to top 10 doing the passive thing, doing what everyone else is doing. You got to risk it for the biscuit. Put it on the line. Maybe I bump myself down 20 positions in the wrong direction. Doesn't really matter, but maybe I get in the top 10, and that'd be pretty sick. So, yeah, I'm maybe just going to make this risky play. I think the very obvious captain choice is PJC, and that's purely off the fact that New Zealand have to win these games. I'm pretty sure he's also scored massive game points previously against Adelaide. 46 on Adelaide last time out. He got a little bit restricted by bullets. It looks like probably Sam McDaniel going to him, and an important game there as well, but it is at Sparks Arena, so going to favour him a bit there. I think he's the player to back in, just because we need to back in one of these guys that is playing for a team that needs to win. So I think we look at these Illawarra players, I think we look at the New Zealand players, and I think we pick one of those guys to be our captaincy. The only other thing I'm potentially weighing up is maybe going Tyler Harvey over Bryce Cotton, or that might be a bit crazy. I think that's a little bit too crazy. But yeah, I think this is how we're going to line up. First time I've actually had Lowell Jr. on my team, but yeah, could definitely bounce back and smack me in the face, but I'm ready to take that risk. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling there, guys. Guys, tell me how your team is going. Tell me what your plans are for finals. You know what? Before we actually let us go, we will just quickly jump on leagues. I know everyone that isn't a part of this hates this. We can see I got up over the ladies' man here. who am I playing in the finals? So we got Gavin in the finals. Best of luck to you, Gavin. There's only 10 points between us this week, so it's probably going to be a very, very close one. And then we also have, I've got up on Speaky here, who had a good run from 5th, had to run the gauntlet, but did have to go through me. And fast forward, would have got up on by 3 points this week. So yeah, going to be another tight finish for us. So I'm pretty excited for that. Public League is so irrelevant, it doesn't matter. The FTTV. We will be versing Alex. Yep, me and him always talking in the Discord. He actually beat me this week. See if he can do me over in the finals. I did beat him in I think the last game of the season, and knock him down to 4th from 3rd. So that we didn't actually play in the opening round. But yeah. Anyway, I'll wrap it up there, guys. So, yeah, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the video. You know, even if you didn't like or subscribe, I do appreciate you being here till the end. Saying that, let's be honest, if you're here till the end right now, at the end of the NBL season, you've probably already done both those things, and I definitely appreciate you for it. But yeah, till next time, guys, peace, later.